Hello, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another MTG video. Now today we're going to be over the top 10 most expensive cards from Core Set 2020. These are all rare and mythic, and yeah, we're going to start with number 10 here. So these are the, this is the top 10 highest priced cards. So at number 10, it's Ajani, Strength of the Pride. It's a legendary planeswalker, Ajani, 4 cost. +1, you gain life equal to the number of creatures and planeswalkers you control. -2, create an Ajani's Bridemate. And a 0 loyalty. If you have 15 more life than your starting life total, exile Ajani and each artifact and creature your opponents control, which is actually very similar to the Gideon from the Planeswalker deck from War of the Spark. Something to note is that Ajani from the Planeswalker deck, similar to last core set, is actually more expensive than this Ajani, which is kind of interesting. And overall, the prices don't look that good, saying the number 10 most expensive card is only $5.49. Number 9 is Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. It has a 0 ability that says put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker. Each red planeswalker you control, including herself. Another 0, create 2/1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Very powerful. -2, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So basically, giving something jumpstart without the discard effect for a turn. And it has to have power, CMC 3 or less. Number 8. It's Lotus Field, and this is a land with hexproof, and when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice 2 lands, and it enters tapped, and then you can tap it to add 3 mana of any one color. This is really powerful with things like Kiora, which can untap this, and yeah. So it can just untap this and gain 3 more mana. Mu Yangling Skydancer, I think this is the thing that surprised me the most. I was actually kind of underwhelmed by this. It's $10. +2, until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gets -2/-0 and loses flying. Okay, protection for herself. -3, create a 4/4 blue elemental bird creature token with flying, which is also okay. And then she has a -8, which says you get an emblem with islands you control have tap, draw a card. Sorry about that. So yeah, and she's a 3-cost planeswalker who comes out with 2, so you can't even use her first minus ability until the turn after she comes out. Number 6 at $13 is Cavalier of Thorns. It's a 5-cost, 5/6 with reach, Elemental Knight. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land card from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest in your graveyard. When it dies, you may exile it. If you do, put another target card from your graveyard on top of your library. Overall, this is really good. Great graveyard recursion, and it's a 5/6 for 5. However, it does really support mono green in its casting cost. Okay, then we have Yarick, the Desecrated. What he does is he's a 3/5 Death plus Lifelink Elemental Horror, and this is where it gets important. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, and of course this costs 5, and it is in black, blue, green. I have a deck about that, and if you want, it's I think it's called Zelementals or Zombie Elementals, and yeah, I basically create a swarm of zombies using Yarick and Wizen Reef, which it's a really cool video. You guys should check it out. Of course, he's $14. Then Leyline of the Void. This is a leyline, and all leylines have the text, if Leyline of the Void is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead, and this is $16. This has been printed before, so it is a reprint, but it's not bad. Then we have Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord. And basically, I'm not going to go over these two, but basically his +1, both his +1s are okay. They're good vampire tribal, but the reason why this guy is so expensive is because of his -3, and it says you may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, so if anything, you know, there's lots of implications. There's this one blue card from Ixalan that makes everything everywhere in your deck a specific creature type, so you could make everything a vampire and then put, like, Evercool on the field if you wanted. So it's very powerful. And he is $17.99, and he's only a 3-cost planeswalker, and he can do his -3 as soon as he comes out. Then we have Omnath. This was another surprising one. He is 1 green, blue, red. And when he enters the battlefield, he deals damage to any target equal to the number of elementals you control. And then whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target elemental you control. If you control 8 or more lands, draw a card. I also have a deck around him, which I've also posted to this channel if you want to check that out. And he is $17.99. And then the number 1, which I don't think comes as a surprise to anyone, is Overpowered Chandra at $34.99. It's a 6-cost, 6 loyalty planeswalker that cannot be countered, and this is what makes her insane. Her +2, each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you. Now, what makes this powerful is that there is no way to stop this. It cannot be I mean, there are a couple ways to stop this, but generally it can't be stopped. You can't counter it, and then also when it enters the battlefield, your opponents never hold priority. So the only way to really stop her +2 from going off would be to counterspell the ability or like gain control of the spell on the stack, which there's nothing in standard that does that. Now, emblems cannot be interacted with. There's only one card that can kind of do it, which is Karn, which he allows you to restart the game, which would get rid of it. And when I'm talking about Karn, remember I did the 7 cost, but yeah. Then her -3 is a board sweep, and it's very nice. Often used with Chandra's Regulator, which allows you to duplicate abilities, so you can deal 6 damage to everything non-elemental. And ideally, all your creatures are going to be elemental. And then -X, this is basically Disintegrate, which does X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a permanent is dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. So yeah, that's the those are the most expensive cards in M20. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.